Building a sales team is easy. Building a high-performance sales team that can consistently hit million-dollar months is a completely different skill set. Most info business owners hire a couple setters, closers, and just pretty much hope for the best. And then they wonder why their numbers are inconsistent and their entire team ends up burnt out. I had that same issue when I first got started. Well, actually a few months in. When I first got started back in February 2024, I was running the entire ship myself. I was taking every sales call. I was fulfilling on all student one-on-one calls. I was building out the content, the ads, everything. I thought it was the worst business in the entire world until I realized, well, I need closers. At first, I hired 2 people and it was absolutely amazing. Between November 2024 to December 2024, we doubled our business from 50K a month to 100K per month. But as soon as I started trying to scale a team, I just felt like I wasn't having the right people in place. I was hiring just based on whatever. You're a closer, come on in. I had no training protocol, none of the stuff we're gonna speak about today. And it ended up just stagnating us at around 120K per month for literally months until I figured out this strategy that I'm gonna give you today. So in this video, I'm gonna show you exactly how I built and learned how to manage a sales team that can consistently hit $1 million a month in an info product business. The first thing we're gonna go over is the entire team structure. How do you actually have a team that can scale without needing you all of the time? Next, we're gonna go over the data management. Listen, this is probably the most important thing that we'll speak about today. You cannot scale if you do not have full visibility in all of the data. This is where you gotta pay attention. After that, we're gonna be talking about calendar management, how to make sure your top reps are getting the brunt of the call while still giving the bottom reps a chance to actually show you what they can do with higher quality leads. This is super important. And then lastly, it's kind of a jumble. We're gonna talk about ramping versus established closes, how to move them up and down in priority based on performance. I'm telling you, this is the complete playbook that I wish I had about a year ago when I was stuck at that 50K a month range. And right now, this is what we built to actually scale 20X to over $1 million a month in just 12 months. Pay attention. All right, before we get into that, first thing, I wanna tell you, dude, I don't know you from a hole in the wall. So the stuff I'm talking about here is all just to pass on lessons about what I'm doing in my business and client businesses that have been working and literally doubling, tripling their business in like 60 to 90 days. I don't know if you have any chance of hitting $1 million a month, 100K a month, 50K a month, or if you're just one of those people that's gonna be stuck at 10K a month for the rest of your life. Can't tell you. You have a very low probability of actually being able to do these things, but I will tell you something. Every single video I put up here, it works for me. So I hope that some of these things you can implement and then hit me up later like, yo, these things work. Or if you end up working with us as one of our clients or one of our coaching clients on the side, whatever, we'll help you get there either way. So hope this helps, but I can't guarantee it. All right, let's jump into it. All right, the first thing we have to talk about is team structure, right? This is super fucking important, right? If you don't have the right team in place, everything will break. Like one of the mistakes I made when I first came in, and I honestly didn't even fix this until, this is now in December 2025. I didn't fix this until June 2025. I'll tell you a quick story. I was in the middle of, actually it was about end of May 2025. I was in the middle of preparing for my engagement. I was in the middle of preparing to move from New York to Michigan for my fiance's residency at this hospital, right? And all that was happening is I was the sales manager and I could not even take a week off on vacation to hang out. Every single question was flying up towards me. Where are the payment links? This lead has a question about something you said on the webinar. Have questions about sending out contracts, onboarding. Every single thing was flying in my direction and I felt like I was literally constrained by the business. When you go away from your business, this exposes a lot about if the business can withstand without you. And if the answer is no, you don't have the ability to go away for a week, 2 weeks. Sorry to say this, you are not fully a business owner yet. You gotta get the right pieces in place. So here's the team structure to get there. The first thing, and arguably the most important thing, is gonna be your sales managers. Right now in our business, we have 2, right? Now, I'll go through the whole team structure and we'll get back to that. In terms of closers, we currently have 13. In terms of setters, we currently have 3. And in terms of team leads, this is something we just injected into our business. We are gonna have at least 3 team leads. Now, what does this all mean? First of all, your managers, they are in charge of actually managing the team, managing KPIs, managing everything else that we're going to talk about today, but they are the first point on touch or first touch point in the business. So super freaking important. As soon as I allow 2 people to become managers, what happened is my entire day freed up so I could focus on my zone of genius, which is literally the content and everything else on the marketing side of things. Now, do you need 2 sales managers? Chances are, no, you can really do it with 1. The reason I did that was because before we started automating some things that I'm gonna speak about today, what happened is we had a shit ton of data. I'm talking to the point where we would sometimes have 1,500 calls per month. We had to make sure EODs for all of those people were in, making sure everyone was getting commissions. Everything had to be tracked, and we were very manual in this process. So what I did is I split 2 sales managers. One was in charge of rep training, making sure that they were having a proper sales call. The other was in charge of data management. Now, currently, this is something that we've automated with a ton of tools, sales dashboards, and just automations that we'll talk about, including AI, which have freed up a lot of time. So will we keep two sales managers? I don't know as of yet, but we currently have 2. Now, sales managers are the first touch point. So as you scale your team, what happens is you have more and more reps. We know when we push to $2 million a month, we're going to have about 20 reps on the team, give or take. And this is easy math. Please write this down. For every 100 to 150K that you bring in revenue, usually speaking, that is capacity for one closer. We'll go a little deeper into that and just finding out when to ramp up new closers, but just keep that in mind. All right. Now, if I had to talk 20 closers all day, I promise you I'll rip the little bit of hair I have left right out my damn head. So that would not happen. I need my sales managers there to handle stuff on the ground. Their job is full communication with the team and full automations to even free up their time. It's really simple. I put it in their head. Try to figure out how you can work this business in 3 hours per day. Now, it sounds crazy, right? You're like, damn, my sales managers right now, they get paid over 20K a month. Like, you're like, wow, they only work 3 hours a day and do that? Yes. I don't care about how much you work. I care about actually being efficient. If you can be efficient and get the same thing done in less time, you're good in my book. If your whole day is in the weeds, you can't think strategically. So I always have my sales manager think from a strategic standpoint. This is so freaking important. Now, as we move down, who's right under them? It's going to be the closers, right? Closers are going to be obviously the people that are taking inbound leads, following up on pipeline leads that they haven't closed as of yet. And really, their job, my job is to make sure that they feel like cashiers, right? This is like where I find the most fun. It's like, if you're running certain funnels and your leads are not that warm, you need a freaking rock star sales team at all times to be able to close these leads. My whole thought process is, if the more pressure I put on myself and the less I put on the sales team, the easier it is for me to actually control what's going on in the business. The better my sales team needs to be, the harder it is for me to keep a grasp on them, because I got to make sure I'm having A players across the whole board. So my job, make things as easy as possible. Their job is to close the freaking deal. And we put a lot of stuff in place to make this a reality, right? We give group Q&A calls, right? We give selfie videos. We do all this stuff to make their job easier and really just have these people there to really just close deals. Super, super easy. Everyone should know what a closer is. Let's remember, for every 100 to 150K, you're going to need a new rep in place just based on capacity, which we'll go into in a bit. Now, outside of that, everyone should probably know you're going to want setters. Now, this is super important, obviously, because what you'll find is if you just have closers and not really good setters, you leave a lot of money on the table. This is something that we super experience. We put so much focus and emphasis on the closing team to the point where our closers were making sometimes 20, 25K a month. And I had never paid a setter more than like $2,000 in a month. Never, ever, ever. It was a huge gap. And it was something that I completely ignored. Now, where are you going to have your setters at? Look, you might have a lot of leads coming on Instagram, or you might have a lot of leads coming through your CRM. Sometimes we have 3,200 leads coming every week through the CRM, or some it's gone up to 4K, right? We need somebody to actually talk to them, communicate with them, see, even if they miss one of our events, to actually find out if they are a good fit for our program and set them on the calls. You need good setters. But the tough part here is finding setters that actually are okay with being setter. Every setter in the world that I run into, they want to be a closer. Dude, might not be ready to be a closer. So what you want to try to find is someone who actually loves to set. Not someone that wants to be on the phone all day, someone that's okay just DMing all day, messaging all day, calling all day, and they like to live there. You can still make a ton of money being a setter, but you just got to find someone that actually likes that job. A big mistake we made when we first started is we would train setters with the intention of moving them up to closers. So we always had to retrain a setter, retrain a setter, retrain a setter. And we didn't have someone building out a zone of genius there. Look, find a setter that actually wants to be a setter and master it. And then the job there is find out how to maximize their pay. If you can get a setter making 5 to 10K a month, they'll be okay staying there. Just make sure it's the right person. And honestly, my opinion, I think younger people do a lot better in this role. From my experience, they're just a little more hungry and a little willing to do a little more work. But pretty much, I like to have one full-time setter per channel. So we run on Instagram. We need a setter there. We have school community for free leads and low-ticket leads. We need a setter there. And then in our CRM pipeline, we need 1 or even 2 setters there. one per pipeline, so you can actually see what's working. They can create a zone of genius around that particular pipeline. Now, one thing that we haven't implemented yet, but this is actually coming into play this month, is team leads. It would be kind of stupid of me to kind of think that as we scale the team, my 2 or 1 sales manager can just handle more and more people on the team. It's just going to become more and more unruly. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually break everyone off into teams and create some incentive structures around there. So what we're going to do is have top closers have a small team around them, maybe 3 to 4 people under them that they're in charge of. And we'll incentivize them with some actual bonuses and stuff like that, base pay, whatever it may be, to actually incentivize them to do a good job. But what this does is allow these team leads to kind of have their own bucket of genius. And what it does is it frees up a lot of time for the sales manager just to coach on the team leads. It's a trickle-down effect. If you have a sales manager coaching this team lead, this team lead, this team lead, and under those team leads are 4 people, 3 to 4 people, well, guess what? Everyone has touch points and it funnels all the way up and it frees up a tremendous amount of time, a lot less things to work on. Always think from the perspective is what is someone's max capacity? You always want your people in your management position to have the ability, mainly with time freedom, to actually think strategically. The more they're in the weeds, the less they can think about optimizations throughout the business and certain things to fill in the gaps with. This is the entire team structures. Manager, closer, setter, team leads, you are ready to rock in terms of team structure. Now, let's get down to the part where every single person hates, but this is where the money is. I remember when I was first learning this, looking up a ton of YouTube videos, somebody said, the money is in the data. The money is in the spreadsheet. And it couldn't be more true. I can look at a spreadsheet for our numbers and know exactly what to focus on, whether it be on marketing and sales. And I can play around with these numbers with a financial model. And let me be clear. If you are not building out financial models when you go into paid advertising, I'm going to be pretty direct with this. You are retarded. You have no chance of being able to scale it because you won't even know what's happening where the bottleneck is. So you got to find out just on a financial model, is the bottleneck in your marketing? Like, is it your click-through rate on a link? Is it your opt-in rate? Is it your show rate to the webinar? Is it your retention rate on the webinar or the VSL funnel? Is it your show rate to the call? What is it? Is it your cost per call? What is it? Right? So you got to figure out what it is. And then when you get on to closes, is it their show rate to the first call, second call, close rate, or average cash collect per book call / AOV, whatever it may be. But tracking all these metrics gives you visibility. Now, here's the thing where it kind of screws me up. If your closers are not freaking reporting their EODs and getting them in time, you cannot have visibility on your business. I'll speak about a client I was working with, and honestly, just had to kind of terminate that relationship. And it wasn't because, like, full transparency, numbers look really good on marketing, but there was such a gap in getting a feedback on data. It was like impossible to make moves. And I was helping them more on the marketing end, but I was like, dude, I can't manage a team if I don't have visibility on what's going on with the sales data. Getting an EODs on time from your sales team, actually having a good grasp on what the data is, oh my God, it's a game changer. So we'll talk a little more about this, but you have to incentivize positive action and take away on negative action. One thing we do with EODs is when people actually fill them in on time, well, they get paid full commissions. If they do a great job in terms of closing, well, they get paid these small bonuses. If they suck and are getting things in late, guess what? The only way that will make them stop doing it is if you take away their money. When people are financially incentivized to do the right thing and they have a fear about losing money if they do the wrong thing, guess what gets done? Every damn thing. So make sure EODs are coming in and all data is reporting. Now, going to the next point. How is data reported? We use something called Google Looker Studio. This is such a cool tool. This is something we built that, all right, let me just take you back to like June. We were collecting all data manually. It was going into a Google Sheet. Sometimes the shit was so off, you had to go back and do it again and do it again. And oh my God, there was no visibility. What we had was something built out where literally for every lead that we bring in, it creates an EOD form for every lead. It tags it to their ID on Go High Level, and it links into all of our payment dashboards, and it creates this EOD for every lead that comes in, and it tags it to the closer that they're assigned to. Now, it sounds super complicated, but it's not that complicated. EOD comes in, tags to the lead and Go High Level, links to payment dashboard, and tags it to the closer that it's assigned to. Guess what? It gives us so much visibility to when EODs are late, who's is late. We can go directly to the closer like, hey, you want to lose this $100, $200, or you want to get this shit in by today? You want to get it in by today, right? And then once they submit that, oh my God, it's so cool. It goes right into this dashboard, and it gives us so much visibility on who's actually doing a good job versus who is doing a bad job. Remember this, always come from a place of automations. We live in a great age of AI. One thing that we even started building out here is something called an AI call review, right? Sales call analyzer or call reviewer, right? This is tremendously helpful. If you manage a sales team before, you probably already know this. When you had to go and make edits to or check what somebody was doing on a call, what would you do? You would pick a random call, you would skim through it through their discovery pitch, you would give feedback, but you knew as well as I know that it was impossible to fully review every call, which means you were spot checking. It was impossible to do anything about it. But guess what? We built out a full sales call analyzer that literally provides feedback based on the frameworks and the teachings that we give in the scripts. So it'll literally analyze a call, let us know if someone did great on their discovery, if they sucked in their pitch, their objection handling, if they schedule a follow-up call, if it's a 2-call process, all of these things. What was their likelihood of closing? And also what materials could we have given prior to the call? If it didn't close, that would have helped it close. It is this great feedback loop that always tells us what we can do better. And if we see something repetitively coming up, we know we can either do something on the sales management end or on the marketing end to help push more leads through the door. Use AI. Use it smart. Use it abundantly. This is how you scale a lot easier these days. We have so many calls coming through. It would literally be impossible to track all of these, but this AI sales call analyzer, in addition to the dashboard, it gives us so much visibility to help us scale the right leads, the right closers and remove the not so good ones. And this is a fluid process. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Now, the only other thing I want to bring up when it comes to data is honestly what I consider to be the most important metric, which is cash collect per book call, or some people call it collected dollars per book call. This is a metric that I learned from someone in one of my masterminds. His name is Josh Troy. Absolutely freaking dog when it comes to sales processes. Learned so much from his free material. It's absolutely insane. But this is one of my favorite metrics because it's the simplest. What some people try to track in terms of performance is to say, hey, this closer has a great show rate, bad close rate, la 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 la. But guess what? All of those metrics are incomplete. At the end of the day, I don't really care necessarily if someone has a shit show rate, yeah, I'm gonna try to get it out, or a shit close rate. It's honestly, what is their collected dollars per book call? Why is it such a cool metric? What it does is it's very simple. It divides the total amount of cash collected that they brought in divided by the amount of calls that was booked on their calendar. So what it allows is it encompasses everything, show rate, close rate, average AOV, all of these things into one data point. This is the most important thing because let's look at us, right? Sometimes it costs us around $250 or so to get somebody on a call, right? Well, if somebody is collecting $500 per book call, guess what? They only have a 2x ROAS on us. So are they making us money or are they losing us money? Should we be giving them as much calls versus someone that on their collected dollars per book call is $1,000? Obviously not. The person collecting $1,000 cash collect per book call, we know every time we put a call on their calendar, if it's $250 for us, we have a 4x ROAS just with that one rep. Let's feed the beast, right? And if someone's not doing as well, let's pull back their call availability until we could triage what's going on with their calls and then push it up. This gives you so much ability to make quick, rational decisions on who to give the preferred calls to and who to take them away from. Collected dollars per book call or cash collect per book call. Favorite metric, use it, you use it, okay? Non-stop. Now, last thing I'm going to say about data is get it in. Don't let your reps get in a mode where they don't get punished for not getting this in because you cannot scale without visibility on this. This is where the money is made. Can't stress it enough. Now, let's talk about something else. This is going to be calendars, right? This is so important. And I'll be honest, right? I literally kind of almost flipped out on one of my sales managers yesterday because it was being so poorly managed, right? What was happening is last month, right? I'm sorry, it's December right now. October 2025 was our first $1 million month, right? We actually cracked it, hit 1.1 mil. Woo, let's go, right? The month before that, we had 975K. The month before that, we had 450K. So we were scaling aggressively. But guess what happened in November? We didn't make as much money. We actually peeled back around 15%. And I'm sitting there like, what the hell happened? So as I looked at the numbers, I realized, yeah, and this is the point of having all this data because it allows you to do this kind of shit, right? And just as a side note, look, If you need any help actually building out any of these things, actually learning this, what you're going to want to do is simply book a call below where you can get on a call and see if we can actually come in and help your team scale up more aggressively. You have to at least be doing like 10 to 50K a month for us to even consider working with you. But see if we can help you get in there aggressively or provide you with any resources that we currently have that can help you just build it out. Either done for you or done with you, whatever. But feel free to book a call and see if we're a good fit for that. All right, back to this. So in terms of the calendar management, right? What I realized last month is we had the same amount of book calls, but our collected dollars per book calls had peeled back. I'm like, okay, what? Our show rate was a little down, close rate was a little down, but not much, right? It was a holiday season, it's November, whatever. But what's going on? So I kept looking, and I find out something. Our top reps had taken less calls. Why is that? Well, guess what? What we did is we added all of our ramping reps, which we'll talk about, all of the people that really didn't deserve that many shots. We added them with too many slots to our main calendar. So what we kind of do, right? Let's just get this a good picture. What we do is we break up our calendar based on a main calendar, which is all of our financially qualified leads. And then we have a backup calendar, which is leads that are not financially qualified. Like they don't have the money for the program, but some people are on applications. We can still get them on one of our programs or find out some financing options that could work with them. But all these leads, they end up with the main calendars, give the best leads to the best closers. In addition, this calendar is where the pixel is. If you know what a Facebook pixel is, this is what we feed back to the pixel, letting them know we want more of these leads, less of these leads, right? Generally speaking, about 65% of our leads end up on this calendar, 35 end up on this calendar, right? This calendar is the training calendar where people will get their reps in, get built up until they start getting shots on this calendar. But the main thing is you have reps that outperform others. We have reps that literally every time they get on a call, they average bring back around $1,500, $1,600. Our cost per call is like $250. So every time they get on a call, they literally have, what is that, 7X, a 7X ROAS on this rep versus like a 2X ROAS on this rep, right? Well, let's trade them up. Let's see if we can get them to a better point where we trust them a little more. But guess what? We want to give this person as many calls as humanly possible because they are a dog, right? So what my sales manager did, which we got into it a little bit, was he put too many of these reps with too many slots on there, which ended up soaking up a lot of the calls that the tops reps need and screwed us. So we lost at least 150K gross profit, right? After we have to pay our commissions and everything, at least about 120K out of our pocket for the month. 120K for the month is not a little bit of money. So guess what? I'm gonna be a little pissed off, right? So we gotta make sure that as you gear up on your calendar, you make sure your top reps are always getting the most calls and you feed these reps a few over here to make sure and see how they perform when given the opportunity. Once they're ready, you start scaling this up. And then of course, you start dialing up the marketing budget to match this in. Now, in addition to that, super important going into calendar stuff, you don't want to overwork your closers here. What we used to do and what I see a lot of people do is they give their top reps like 8, 9, 10 calls a day, right? And it is insane. You can't expect somebody to literally, even if not everyone shows up, they have 8, 9, 10 blocks built out into their calendar every day. You're going to overwork them and burn them the hell out. This is so freaking important. Make sure that you are only keeping, I like to say 6 or 7 calls maximum. I like to keep reps around 35 calls for the week maximum, right? An average work week. Not working too hard. And my job is to make sure that, hey, you have the best chance of closing money over here, but not working to a bone because what you'll see is a decrease in performance because they just can't handle that many reps, right? I'm sorry, that many leads coming in, right? Keep it low. Now, the next thing you want to focus on is something called a priority bucket, right? Even if your reps are on this main calendar, what you need is good calendar movement. What does that mean? Guess what? We had a closer last month. Well, nope, October. Absolute beast. We ran a competition. The cash prize for first place was like 7K, 3K for second place. So everyone was competing. Now, he didn't win first place. He won second place, but he was a dog. He was cash collecting about $1,800 per book call, meaning he had like a 9X ROAS by his damn self. Absolute freaking beast. But guess what? Performance is like this. So what happened was when we go into the next month, no challenge, he was busy. I think he has a newborn, like a lot of work going on his end. Guess what? His performance kind of slipped. And like, it's not like we're going to kill him or like, you gotta get the hell off the team. Like it happens, right? It wasn't like he was under KPI, but it wasn't as good as the last month. Guess what? Some other reps came in and increased performance and he was no longer the top 2 rep on the team. He was more like number 4 or 5. Okay, that's cool. But what has to happen is his priority bucket has to move down. The top priority, like we use Calendly, even if you go high level, you can shift by priority. The top priority has to go to the top reps. We want to make sure we feed the beast. Now, we analyze this every 2 weeks currently. You can analyze every month, every week, whatever works for you, whatever's in your sales cycle, but you need fluidity in this so that the reps that are performing better get better opportunity. The rest that are performing not as good, they move down. And I like to be super transparent with them on where they are on that list so they know if they have to fight their way up to the top. Always be super transparent with your team on where they are and what they need to get back to, making more money. Now, you're at a point where your calendar's locked in, top reps are getting fed, your data's locked in, like you got, like your team structure's good, like you got a lot of stuff built out, right? Ready to scale. But here's the thing, right? As you scale, you got to know when to scale and when not to scale. The thing about it is I spend a lot of time on the marketing side of things. I love it. It's my jam. It's what I love, right? The thing about marketing is when you want to scale, it's easy, right? Press a few buttons, scale up ad spend. Guess what? It's going to result in more leads, more calls. Great job. Refresh some creatives, make some tweaks. It's literally pressing buttons, right? Being creative and pressing buttons, right? You can scale marketing up big time. You can't scale people at the same rate. So one thing I hyper focus with my sales team on is guess what? You got to kind of see ahead. Right? If we're at $1 million a month and the next pit stop for us is 1.5 million, how many new reps do we need? Is anyone on our backup calendar ready to start taking more calls over here? Do we have the right team reps? If we don't, is it time to go get new ones? And how long does it take to ramp them up? So we build this out, right? This is pretty simple for us. We know it takes us about 1 to 2 weeks to train somebody to get them on a calendar. Guess what? We got to think at least 2 weeks ahead on somebody getting up. But that's just when they enter the ramping period. Meaning we can't expect someone that's 2 weeks on your team to perform the same as someone that's 3, 4, 5 months on your team. So there's a ramping period. They have to go through a training module. They have to go through training calls, right? They have to understand the whole offer. Then they have to get approved to get on the calendar. Then they have to go on the backup calendar, show us what they got. Then eventually they have to end up on the main calendar as long as we're seeing the right things on this. This takes time. You gotta think 2 to 4 weeks ahead on when you need these reps so you're not being reactive on the sales team. This is the most important shit that you could do. And this is why data just plays into being so important. Data allows you to know when to push and pull the buttons and when you need to start bringing people off calendars, moving them up. It is the most important part of being a sales manager and running a good team. Data management, calendar ramping calendar metrics, and moving ramping to establish closes up and down that list. So find out what your training time is. For maybe your offer is really simple to explain. You could train somebody in a week. Right? Find out how long you expect them to be as a ramping rep. Right? For us, it's usually 2 weeks. But in that 2 weeks in the ramping period, after that, we expect them to dial up and become an established closer. Set expectations, because when you come in and you see somebody not performing as well as an established and it freaks you out, you're like, you're not the right person, but they need time to build and you got to be okay with that. Speaking of the KPIs, right? What we really look for is, of course, on the sales team is going to be 3 things. It's their show rate, their close rate, and their cash collect per book call / their AOV, average order value. This is what we're looking for, right? Main one is going to be that cash collect per book call. For us, it's usually in that $500, $600 range. And then when they go established, we really want to see over $800 cash collect per book call. And we know, all right, cool, you're moving in the right way. We'll give you more and more slots over here and you're ready to kind of scale up with our team as long as you don't screw it up. Pretty simple. Now, the last and arguably one of the most important things, I mentioned it before, but I can't stress this enough. You need bonuses and deductions based on data and metrics. I can't stress this shit enough, right? This is something that I had to learn the hard way. How many people went out putting in EODs? We're yelling at people all day about EODs. People are being late to do this. People are not doing this. And guess what? You know what incentivizes people more than anything, especially on a sales team? Money. So more money when you overperform. Like we set metrics. If you get over a certain dollar cash collect per call and a certain cash collect for the month, guess what? You're going to get more points. So just by you aiming to hit this goal, but so we're pushing everybody at North Star, guess what? You can put more money in your pocket. So everyone's fighting for this goal. On the same time, if you are under a certain threshold, guess what happens? Boop, you get moved down in priority. Boop, you get moved down to backup calendar. So you are de-incentivized, I don't know the words. You'll get it, right? You are not motivated to underperform because you will lose the chance to get better calls. You can get removed from the calendar and put on the backup calendar. And guess what? When you're late to do certain things that are pretty simple, you will actually lose money right off the bat. So you want to incentivize people directly on what they care about, which on the sales team is what? The money. the money, right? So it's really important to build out something like this where your KPIs are clear as day and people know when they can make more money and when they can make less money. This is how you build a high performance $1 million per month at least sales team. So this is exactly how I built and manage a sales team that can consistently hit $1 million per month in the info product business. And if you want help scaling your own info product or high ticket consulting business, I help people doing at least 20 to 50K per month scale up to 100 to 300K per month using paid advertising. Help you create and implement a high converting offer using the exact same system, projects, SOPs, every single thing that we've used to scale our business past $1 million per month consistently. Click the first link in the description to book a call with me to see if you're best fit for our done with you model or our done for you model where we come in and handle that whole bad boy on the marketing side of things and sales if needed. So if you found this helpful, make sure you hit that subscribe button as we can continue to drop these videos teaching all the lessons that we are learning along the way from scaling our business up from literally $0 in February 2024 to over $1 million per month right now, December 25. And look, trust me, we're not stopping here. We're going for that big boy number at $2 to $3 million a month. A lot of lessons to be learned and will be shared with all of you. And I can't tell you how easy it is. Like, I literally came into a business about a month or 2 months ago. We literally took them up from 50 to 100K in literally 30 days, just doubling their business by injecting this. The thing I love about this business is you can scale fast. I've literally doubled my business from 250K to 975K, over 2x growth in 30 days. You don't get the chance to do that with a lot, but I'm telling you, with the systems that we use, you could get there. So make sure if you're actually serious about scaling and scaling aggressively and you want to see what it looks like to work for people who've done it time and time again, hit that link in the description. It's a completely free call and let's see if we have something that can help you with, or we can just point you in the right direction with some clarity. All right, I'll see you on the next one.